two of them. I have a call after this meeting actually with another student athlete. So again, our goal is to be in constant communication with them. In terms of the timing, Marcus, for the search, obviously we want to be very efficient and move quickly because of the transfer portal, because of the collective NIL, because of the institutional NIL. We want to have those conversations quickly. So we're trying to be very efficient in our goals to move quickly as possible. So those young men on that team right now who are returning next year have a chance to spend time with that coach and also have a chance to talk to them about institutional NIL and how our collective works.
Let's go to Mike Rand with the Star Tribune. Mike.
Hey, good morning, Mark. Thanks for taking my question. Hey, just wondering, you went through this process 4 years ago. You alluded to a lot of the changes in college basketball, NIL, everything like that. How does that change maybe the type of candidate you look for right now, or just, how does the landscape impact what kind of coach you might be looking for this time around versus 4 years ago?
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for the question. It's good to see you. Michael, as I just mentioned, college athletics is going through transformational changes right now, and I think it's critically important that we can identify an individual who understands and embraces those challenges. I think sometimes we make excuses, Mark Coyle included in that, and we're at a point now where we've got to figure out how to be competitive, how to compete at a high level in the Big Ten. It's incredibly hard, incredibly difficult. Our peers aren't slowing down, and we've got to figure out a way to catch up to them on that side of it. So, again, our ideal candidate will be somebody who has experience in this landscapes, understands the changing landscape, and as I mentioned earlier, when the judge issues her final ruling regarding the House settlement, that's when things really start to pick up and we get more clarity and what it's going to look like as we move forward. So again, we want somebody who's on top of that. We want to make sure that we provide that coach with the resources they need to compete at a high level because that is our expectation.
Thank you, Mark. Let's go over to Dave Campbell at the Associated Press.
Hey, Mark. I'm wondering how much, as you're going to be considering candidates, how important it will be to have someone who is really out, so let's just say selling the program. Because I know you're concerned about attendance and winning is important, but also just bringing sort of the program back to relevancy.
Yeah, Dave, it's a great question, and there's no doubt. We need somebody who embraces Minnesota. You've heard me talk about this a lot. Doing it right, Minnesota matters. Promoting our institution, promoting our athletics program, promoting the many benefits we have, and we need somebody who's going to generate excitement. At the end of the day, I'm a firm believer when you're winning games, people want to be a part of that. They come to those games, they support those games, and again, our job is to find somebody that can come in here, can understand and adjust to the changing landscape of college athletics, but at the same time, continue to build our program. The Williams Arena is completely different when there's huge crowds in there, and that electricity, that atmosphere that is created by our fans is so critically important. So again, that'll be something we look at as we move forward with our new coach.
Thank you, Mark. Let's go to Pierre from Fox 9. Pierre, go ahead.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for taking the time. Question is kind of twofold. Why was now the right time to part ways with Ben, in your opinion? And in your statement, you said you believe this job to be a pretty desirable job. What is it about the job that you believe is desirable to somebody else coming into a situation that has been a little up and down at best over the last 4 years?
Yeah, Pierre, thank you for the question. That's a great question. With respect to the timing, we've had 4 years of work. And we could take a look at over those 4 years. And so I felt from a timing perspective, we had that 4 years. We had a good sample of what we looked like in non-conference, what we looked like in Big Ten play. And again, I just felt the timing was right now for a change, given some of the transformations we're going through as an industry in college athletics. And then with respect to the second question, I think Minnesota, we do not take for granted at all that we're a member of the Big Ten Conference. And selfishly, I feel like Minnesota, the Big Ten Conference is one of the most elite conferences out there. You hear a lot of conversations with the Big Ten, the SEC. I've had a chance to attend AD meetings with the Big Ten and the SEC leaders with both commissioners. I think the A4 with the ACC and the Big 12. There's no doubt that we're in a very competitive spot. And I can tell you, when we made the announcement and the change in leadership with our basketball program, we've gotten calls from coaches who want to be a part of that. They understand the value of the Big Ten. They understand the value of Minnesota. what it means. Our media contracts are phenomenal in terms of the exposure we get and the exposure we can provide to student athletes, as many of them have dreams to compete at the next level. So again, we feel like we're in a very, very good spot. And to the last point of your question, it's been frustrating, quite honestly, that we have not had more success in basketball. I had a chance to work at Kentucky. I had a chance to work at Syracuse. When I was the AD at Boise State, we went to a couple NCAA tournaments, and that's addicting. You want to get back to that experience, and so that's why this is such a critical hire for our department as we move forward. Is how can we find somebody that can get us back to the NCAA tournament? We have 38 opportunities to get to the NCAA tournament. There's 37 at-large spots. There's the one AQ spot for the Big Ten conferences if you win the conference tournament. So there are 38 ways we can get to the NCAA tournament, and in my heart, there's no doubt Minnesota can be one of those 38 teams every year to get into the NCAA tournament.
Let's go over to Mike Grimm. Mike, go ahead.
Mark, in talking about the decision to move on and to change direction of the program, can you take us through the personal nature of this? You obviously this is a coach you brought in to hire, and then to make these tough decisions. How hard is that for you to have to end up making a decision like this?
Well, Mike, obviously you're so close to our program, and Ben and that staff gave us everything they had. Ben is a wonderful person. He cares so deeply for Minnesota, the state, the city of Minneapolis-St. Paul, and being a former student athlete for us, he understands and he truly cares about this program. And when Dusty and I had a chance to meet with him when you all returned from the tournament, I thanked him for his tireless work. He worked endless hours. He did everything he could to make us competitive, to help us compete at a high level. And again, those are hard conversations you have to have. They impact people, they impact families, they impact children. We don't take those decisions lightly. But again, Ben, I'm just so grateful for the effort he gave us. Like him, I'm disappointed that it didn't work out. But again, just really grateful for his time, the effort he gave us, the effort his staff gave us, all wonderful people who care deeply. And there's no doubt that there has a huge impact on them as they move forward.
I see 3 more questions in the chat, so we'll go ahead and finish with those final 3. We'll go back to Andy Greeter. Andy, go ahead.
Mark, what did you hear from boosters about a call for change within the program? Because obviously their support is so vital when it comes to NIL.
Yeah, Andy, to be honest with you, Andy, I've had conversations with many of our supporters, those people who rank high in the Golden Gopher Fund and those people who may not have been able to contribute as much money yet to the Golden Gopher Fund. And people were supportive of Ben. I think people recognize that we needed more consistency. I talked earlier in the week about, if you looked at our program over the last 4 years, we just have lacked consistency. And I think to compete at a high level, you have to be consistent. When you look at Michigan State, I have a lot of respect for Coach Izzo and that program and how many years he's been the head coach there, but they've been very, very consistent. Wisconsin, they've been very, very consistent. Illinois, when Coach Underwood got there, he's been very, very consistent since he's gotten there. And I think that consistency is the key. So again, I didn't hear from a lot of donors who were like, oh my gosh, we need to do something right now. I did have conversations with some who expressed concern with the direction of the program. But again, people were very supportive of Ben, the student athletes. And again, at the end of the day, I had to make a very difficult decision to change leadership and go in a different direction.
We'll go back to Darren Wolfson with KSTP, and then we'll finish with Marcus Fuller from the Star Tribune. So Doogie, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Paul. Mark, I love the third person drop earlier. That was fantastic. Can you clarify? So you said you've received calls from current coaches already. Are those coaches that are interested in the job, and how far down the road are you in this search?
Yeah, well, Dewey, thanks. Obviously, I've got great people back on campus right now. Julie Manning, Dusty Clements, Paul, and others. Jeremiah Carter, Kevin Gomer, Tricia Butke, et cetera, Peyton Owens. I've got great colleagues who I work with, and I've been able to. Obviously, I'm here in Indianapolis with Selection Week, but I'm able to visit with coaches. I've been working closely with my staff back there. We've had some positive conversations with people, and to Marcus's earlier question, I believe Marcus asked a question about the transfer portal, the March 24th date, and those type of things. So again, we want to be efficient, we want to move quickly, but I've been able to have conversations with a handful of people, working closely with my staff to gather information, to see who else might be out there that we need to talk to or visit with. But I'm very pleased with the conversations, and again, our goal is to move efficient as quickly as possible to get the right person to help this program compete at a high level.
Thank you, Mark. We'll go ahead and finish with Marcus Fuller. Marcus, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Sorry, there's a couple questions. One, is there anyone in charge of the team as far as the interim coach, while the process goes on? Obviously, on the staff, someone like Dave Thorson, who's had such a long history of, with Minnesota basketball and also high school basketball. How key would it be to retain maybe an assistant or a staff member, part of Ben's staff that have been around for a little bit, and also are you using a search firm in this process?
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. So I fully agree with your comments about Dave Thorson. We have asked Dave to stay with us during the interim period to serve and work with us with the student athletes to help us make sure we continue to communicate with them and keep them in the loop as we go through this process. And Ryan Livingston, you all know Ryan, our director of basketball operations, associate athletics director, has been with us, I think, 10 years, does a wonderful job. So we've asked those two to be with us as we work our way through this process, and just really thankful for their professionalism and their expertise and guidance to work our way through this process. And with respect to a search firm, Marcus, at this time, we have not retained one. That could change, but at this time, I've been working closely with Dusty, with Julie, my staff, and myself in terms of vetting our way through some coaches. But again, we've not made a decision on a search firm yet.
All right, Mark, I want to thank you for joining us. Members of the media, I want to thank you for joining us as well. Again, we did record this, so I will send this out to our email distribution list. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.